The QX80 is the full-size, body-on-frame luxury SUV flagship for Infiniti. And finally, for the 2025 model year, they have brought a refreshed, all-new generation. Infiniti says the new QX80 embodies a Japanese concept of thoughtful hospitality. So today, we'll be finding out what that's like by driving the all-new top-tier trim QX80 Autograph. For the new generation, they have ditched the outgoing, naturally aspirated 5.6-liter V8. Instead, we have the VR35, a 3.5-liter twin turbo V6 that is related to the legendary VR38 found in the R35 GTR and the VR30 from the Infiniti Q50 Red Sport and Nissan Z. The VR35 makes 450 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque, which is an increase of 50 horsepower and 103 pound-feet of torque compared to the outgoing V8. It's paired to a 9-speed automatic transmission sourced from the Nissan Titan, and it's available in either rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Infiniti has brought some firsts to the entire segment and for Infiniti with luxury, technology, creature comforts with the new QX80. So join me today as we check out and experience the all-new Infiniti QX80. Let's take a quick exterior tour of the updated QX80. Still a very imposing full-size SUV. So the new grille here takes inspiration from the organic shapes of a bamboo forest. You see these curved lines with the slightly updated Infiniti logo here in the middle, which represents a road going off infinitely into the horizon. It's also illuminated now, as a little more 3D effect to it. And at night, when you unlock the QX80, you get this welcome light sequence from the logo illuminating to the DRLs and the light path. The DRLs themselves take inspiration from piano keys. You see these individual little segments there. We have the headlight below, and then there's an opening here for like an air curtain effect for aerodynamics across these 22-inch wheels that are unique to the Autograph trim. And this paint here is called dynamic metal. It's supposed to imitate like a liquid metal feel. It took 6 years to develop, where they have the metallic flakes laying flat in the paint. Gives it a lot of depth, a really classy finish to this full-size luxury SUV. And as an Autograph trim here, we have the two-tone black, the roof, the pillars, the mirror is all blacked out here. We have door handles that come out when the vehicle is unlocked. When you're driving or you lock it, they do go flush for better aerodynamics. We have the fixed side step here on the side. Another look at the 22-inch wheels and the Autograph script back here that denotes this is the top-tier trim. The QX80 also embodies the artistry in motion design language for Infiniti, where this is supposed to look like it's in motion even when sitting still. You have this anti-wedge shape where you see those body lines are actually angled back towards the rear of the vehicle. And then coming around to the taillights, we have this big light bar composed of over 300 individual little LED segments, and it's inspired by the reflection of lights in a rippling pond. So it's got the smoked finish, but obviously lights up red with the LED lighting here. And then in the corner, the QX80 badge with another cool detail. That four-wheel drive badge takes inspiration from a traditional Japanese stamp where it's vertically oriented. So it's these cool little details that really evoke the Japanese culture and design on the QX80. Overall, I think this is a quite nice update. It looks nice and premium, much more modern than the outgoing generation. Now let's check out the interior. Let's take an interior tour of the QX80. So we have these two 14.3-inch digital displays. The center one here is your infotainment screen. We're currently running wireless Apple CarPlay. We can go home, see the built-in navigation system, go see all the different apps. We have a built-in dash cam, which is pretty cool. You can also have an inside camera, which that's pretty interesting. Right there, we can wave to it. Hello. You can take a photo, you can record, go back to the outside camera. I believe you can also access it from your phone if you want to see if something was left in the vehicle, like a handbag or a backpack. We got Spotify, a bunch of different apps you can download, built-in Google Maps. So this is a nice center infotainment screen. And then we also have a fully digital cluster here. And one of the cool things is the way to control it. So right now you see the left side is selected orange. That means this toggle and everything on the steering wheel is controlling the center screen. If I want to control the infotainment screen, I can press this. And now we're controlling the infotainment screen with this little scroll wheel. This is also a touchscreen like I showed earlier. You can pull CarPlay back up. But let's go ahead and play around with the digital cluster. So we are currently in, let's see, we'll change meter view. We're currently in enhanced. We can go to elegant and it changes the style. We got the larger speedometer and odometer with the menu kind of information in the middle, and we can change it again to dynamic. Those are your 3 different views for this digital cluster. It changes the themes a little bit, and the center has all sorts of different information. We currently have some of the driver assistance features with ProPilot and so forth. We can go to settings, we have directions, we have fuel economy, trip computers, and so forth. So this is all being interfaced with this side of the steering wheel, which is really cool how you can change it to determine what you're controlling the steering wheel without taking your hands off of the steering wheel. You see we have paddle shifters here, Infiniti logo in the middle, and actually Infiniti stamped here on the steering wheel with a nice red stitching. This left side here is all your ProPilot controls. So that's how you turn it on. This is to accept the lane change, volume controls. It's all very, very self-explanatory. Nice touches and pretty cool. Got some cool textures here on the steering wheel too. This QX80 also has some really cool interior materials and design, especially because it is a top-of-the-line autograph trim. So this wood accent here, you can feel the texture, and you have these really thin inlaid aluminum strips that change spacing. Really cool design effect there. We have more of the semi-aniline leather with this kind of perforated diamond pattern there. The black and dark red contrast continues across, and then in the middle we have a lower 9-inch touchscreen. This is primarily to control your climate settings. So you can see heated, cooled seats, changing all the climate settings. You can do front and rear control, and when you press it, it gives you some haptic feedback. It vibrates as you press the different settings. But this lower screen also controls your drive mode. So we go over there, you have all your different drive modes controlling your all-wheel drive system, traction control, air suspension height, and so forth. So this lower screen is nice. You don't have any physical buttons for changing climate. There's no redundancy there, but at least it's not taking over the center screen up here. It's always on this lower screen. You get a little bit of vibration feedback when you go to change different things. And then below that, we have push buttons for your park, reverse, neutral drive. So there, that's reverse, pulls up the cameras, neutral, and drive. And then we have air suspension controls, and then this is the camera button. So because we're stopped right now, we can go ahead and pull up the different camera views, and you can see how we have so many different settings. So right now it's on the main infotainment screen here, this 14.3-inch screen. But if I want that really wide 170-degree view where it kind of goes around the corners of the car, if there was a parked car or like a building or something you want to see around, I can also make it go full screen. So it takes over both of these screens, which is pretty cool. Not the entire screen, because you still have to have your like speedometer and a little bit of information here, but that's a pretty cool touch. It definitely is a quite immersive effect. You can also do the same thing with the transparent hood view, right? So you can see the 2 wheels, but I can also make this view go full screen, which is pretty cool. It would be useful for off-roading, but also if you wanted to, get through a drive-through, be careful not to curb your wheels, maybe position this in a drive-through car wash and so forth. You also have 360 view, which shows the vehicle. You can pan it around live, which is pretty cool. If we are in park, so when you first get in the car, you turn it on, you want to make sure there's nothing around. You can press this 3D button in the middle, and it just does an automatic pan around the whole vehicle to make sure maybe there's not like, I don't know, an animal or like a toy or something in your driveway, like your kid left a little bicycle or something, so you don't run anything over. And then you have these different fixed views they can quickly jump to. Here's the rear one, the front one. It is definitely quite nice. This view does not allow you to go full screen. So you see we still have the cluster up here. Only a few of the different views are allowed to go full screen. It's the kind of the front corner view, the 170 degrees of viewing angle, and then also the transparent hood view allows you to go full screen. And another cool thing is this like around the corner view, we'll call it the extra wide view. You can actually allow this to like log a GPS location. So if it's like your driveway or maybe somewhere you're leaving that you know you need to be to see around, it'll automatically pop up when you arrive at that location. So these are some pretty cool cameras. Speaking of cameras, we also have a digital rear view mirror up here, which we can turn on and off like that. And I noticed this thing, when I press the menu, there's like a lot of stuff you can control. Brightness, the down up, like the angle, rotation, the dimming, language. Like I didn't bother changing the language, but there's a lot of different things to control here. But digital rear view mirror, I personally like, especially in like a big SUV or something where rear visibility might not be great. So let's just say you have a bunch of people back there or maybe cargo. With a digital rear view mirror, you have no obstruction. And also at night, it can really help eliminate glare of headlights behind you. Sometimes you get people who just drive around with their high beams on and you get blinded at night. Digital rear view mirror really helps that kind of stuff. This is that camera lens for the interior camera. And up here is the sensor for the biometric cooling, which we'll talk about when we hop into the second row. Suede headliner, we have a standard panoramic sunroof. I can actually open it all the way up like that. You see it retracting. That is standard on the QX80. And the seats are definitely very, very cool. Again, this is the top of the line autograph trim. So we have the nicest details, nicest materials. It's all semi-aniline leather, which is apparently the way it's treated. I actually had to Google what in the world semi-aniline leather is. Like, what is the difference between all these different kinds of leather? But it's definitely very nice and supple and soft. See the Infiniti lettering there? That would probably look really cool at night when it's all lit up. Just these little details, they add up. They're really nice. Same thing. You see more of that metal accent trim that goes from like thinner spacing to wider spacing. And you can actually feel that texture with these aluminum inlays into the wood itself. Our start-stop button is here. This is your volume control, forward track, back track, but you also have on the steering wheel, which I was using earlier. So I love having physical buttons for that. But I was talking about the seats. So this like quilted pattern, these little dots there are actually done by hand. So that's not by machine. So that's an added touch of like just really nice detailing on these quilted leather seats. Dark red contrast with the black here. We got some nice stitching, and you'll see in the headrest we have speakers. So this has the upgraded Klipsch sound system, which means speakers in the headrest, which not only add to the immersive 3D effect, but also allows for individual audio. So let's just say you're driving in the driver's seat, playing music for everybody in the vehicle, and you get a phone call. It can be isolated to just you in the driver's seat while music is still playing. You hear the phone call through the speakers in the headrest, which is really, really cool. I got to try it out. And also the person you're on the phone with can have a conversation with you and not be disturbed by the music that's playing in the car. It is a pretty cool system. But I mean, this Klipsch sound system is definitely quite impressive. You also have speakers up in the headliner too. And then coming to the side of the seats, you'll see the controls for up front. We have the massage button. This is for the side bolsters, the various controls for adjusting your seats. We have an Infiniti light up door sill here. And then underneath the center console, we have the storage bin, and you notice a texture on the bottom. That is inspired by like a Japanese Zen garden, the sand. So a lot of cool little cues to really bring the Japanese inspiration and culture into the Infiniti QX80. So because we're in a top tier autograph trim, you get this extra tablet back here to control your seats and climate. You have heated and ventilated seats in the second row. You can adjust your seats too, but we also have massage seats in the second row. It's not just for the front two seats. So we have the same 3 massage settings. You can turn that on for the left seat. Oop, turn on. You have the different settings. So we have massage second row seats, which is a very nice touch. Now let's climb our way into the third row. So there's a toggle button right up here. I can press that. One touch, let go. And the seat will automatically angle its way forward. It powers forward. And now let's step up into the third row. Gonna slide this headrest up. You see there's more of that quilted pattern here, even in the third row. And we have heated third row seats, which I don't think I've seen heated third row seats in a full-size luxury SUV like this. A USB-C charging port right there. There's a lot of them hiding all over this vehicle. And if I reach up and I press the button up top, one touch, and we're gonna bring the second row seats back. Let's see how our legroom is. Oh! I fit. Wait, I'm like genuinely surprised right now. I am quite impressed that I have headroom back here. I have legroom back here. I'm 6'3". There are like barely any 3-row SUVs I can think of where I hopped in the third row and it didn't feel like I was being punished sitting back here. So I am definitely quite impressed by that. Infiniti did say they increased the cargo capacity behind the second row, behind the third row, with all the seats folded down, which therefore obviously will translate to a little bit more passenger space back here too. But I'm definitely quite impressed. To get out of here, I will go ahead and press that again. And the seat will slide on forward and up, all on its own. And actually, it should be pretty easy to climb out too. Yeah, that was quite easy just to step right down. And then we can go ahead and put the seat back. We're back in the second row, and the QX80 has something they call biometric cooling. There is an infrared sensor that's watching the second row passengers and determines if they are too warm and automatically sets the climate to cool them down. That's something I've never seen in a vehicle before. Hopping back in up front, you'll see the autograph logo that's embossed there on the seats. And you also have an optional cool box here, which essentially redirects air conditioning into this box in the middle to kind of chill your drinks or whatever you need. So you can turn that on and off. And then we have a wireless phone charger right here, which also the back of it has more of that cool texture that's inspired by the sand in a Japanese Zen garden. More USB-C ports. Got a couple cup holders right there. There's a quick tour inside the QX80. Now let's go for a drive. All right, we start off driving the all-new QX80 on the freeway so we can try out Pro Pilot Assist 2.1. So we turn it on with the steering wheel button, we set the speed, and wait for everything to recognize the road we're on. And it starts off green, but when it turns blue, that is the supported hands-free. It's recognizing multiple lanes, and I'm behind some slower moving traffic, so let's see if it picks up a requested lane change. Merging traffic ahead, watch out for merging vehicles, okay. This is hands-free, but you have to pay attention. So you don't need to put your hands on the steering wheel. When it's green, it means you have to have your hands on the steering wheel, but it's watching you, right? So you can't fall asleep or read a book or anything like that. When you do a lane change, though, you do have to have intervention. So that's different from like the enhanced Super Cruise and the GM Cadillac Escalade, Ford with the Lincoln Navigator and the Blue Cruise system. But right now I am fully hands-free. But let's try a lane change. So if I signal left, it says check traffic, and it turned green, so it's no longer blue. I have to take over, hands on the steering wheel. There's a vehicle in the blind spot, but it just moved. It assisted on the lane change. Have to have your hands on the wheel. Lane change completed. Okay, back to it, and now it should turn blue again once I'm in the lane. It's got 3 lanes currently sensed. Back to blue, hands-free. But we're getting off the freeway now, so I'm gonna go ahead, cancel this, and take over driving. So Pro Pilot Assist 2.1 it's pretty good. On a supported map freeway, you can go hands-free for a portion of time. Unfortunately, it does not have the fully autonomous lane changing on its own, and a good amount of this section of the freeway, actually, it was still hands-on. Only towards this last section here did it let me go full hands-free, but it's still cool to test out, and it shows they're getting a little more competitive with their driver assistance systems. Driving around town, some curvy back roads, various road surfaces, high speed, low speed, and a little bit of traffic too. The QX80 has been very comfortable to be in. So this one, as the top of the line autograph trim, has the optional adjustable height air suspension. The air suspension is actually available in all 3 top trims. It's just the base one that you don't get air suspension. And with the adjustable height, as the speeds climb, it'll drop 1.2 inches for better aerodynamics. You can drop it 2.8 inches for easier entry and exit. And if you need a little more clearance, right, you can raise it 2.1 inches. So a pretty nice range of ride heights with the air suspension, and it's pretty comfortable. Now, compared to some of the other air suspension equipped full-size luxury SUVs I've driven, I don't think it's quite as floaty and isolated, like lane yacht kind of feeling, but it still definitely isolates you from the road quite well. And we have different drive modes. I'm actually in standard right now. We have 6 different drive modes here. So we have personal, we have standard, eco, sport, tow, and snow. I'm going to go into sport. I'm in 4-wheel drive auto, all-wheel drive auto right now. And I actually noticed earlier on, in sport mode, it does handle the body roll a little bit better as you're kind of changing directions. For a big, full-size, body-on-frame luxury SUV, it handles its size, its mass pretty well. It's got this dynamic damping system that's constantly reading the road and adjusting the damping force to try to eliminate some of that unnecessary motion that you do not want. So it drives pretty well given its size. And also, initial impressions on the powertrain. This Twin Turbo V6 is very nice and torquey. I mean, 516 pound-feet of torque compared to the outgoing naturally aspirated V8. That's 103 additional pound-feet of torque, and it's got an additional 50 horsepower at 450 horsepower. And you combine that with the 9-speed automatic, you have a much larger spread of gear. So in the tallest overdrive gear, it's got over 10% better fuel economy than the outgoing one, and also 27% claimed improvement in low in acceleration. That's what you feel leaving a red light, a stop sign, trying to merge onto the freeway, passing power. It's very, very good for this full-size SUV. I actually don't miss the V8 at all. I like this VR35 quite a bit. And you could say your Infiniti QX80 has an engine that is related to the legendary VR38 found in the Nissan GTR, the R35. Although this probably won't do as well around the Nürburgring as a GTR. So how has the QX80 provided a luxury experience as we've been driving it around Northern California today in the Napa Valley area? It definitely has plenty of tech and creature comforts, and the materials are very nice. The semi-aniline leather covering various surfaces, the open pore wood trim with the metal inlays. I really like the attention to detail of the design. Fit and finish has been quite good, and we have a good amount of technology and creature comfort. So we have massage seats. Go ahead and turn those on. the front seat here adjust. We have 3 different settings: relaxing, refreshing, and lumbar. You can change the intensity and speed and so forth. So just 3 different massage settings, it's plenty, right? Some of these other competitors definitely offer more. They have like 17 different various massage options, but the massage seats are comfortable, the seats are comfortable. One of my other favorites is the sound system. As a top of the line autograph trim here, we have the upgraded Klipsch sound system. 24 speakers, 1200 watts, really immersive 3D surround sound here. And the individual audio is really cool too. I called my girlfriend earlier and it played the phone call just through like the headrest speaker, so kind of isolated to me here in the driver's seat. So it's a pretty advanced sound system, definitely really good quality. Even the regular one is a, I believe, 14 speaker, 600 watt sound system, but this upgraded one is impressive with the speakers and the headrest, competitive with the other high-end luxury SUVs and their crazy sound systems. The Cadillac Escalade has the AKG one, which I also like quite a lot. Lincoln Navigator with the Revel sound system, Mercedes with the Burmeister. So you have to have a very, very top tier sound system, which is ridiculous number of speakers. Like 24 speakers is wild. Like there's 4 up here in the roof, the headliner. We've got the ones in the headrest and so forth. So you definitely get a very nice immersive audio experience. We already tested out the Pro Pilot system. The screens are very nice. Ooh, a little Alfa Romeo 4C. Nice, that'd be fun in these curvy mountain roads. So in terms of pricing and value for the new QX80, the base trim starts at $82,450, and you go all the way up to the range of what we're driving, the Autograph, which comes in all-wheel drive. That's $110,000. And while that may seem like a lot of money, that's how much all of the full-size luxury SUVs cost in the segment. They're all spread between the 80s to the low $110,000 range. This Autograph trim here really goes up against like the Lincoln Black Label, the Escalade Platinum. It is the top tier where you get the special touches, the unique wheel design, the top interior finishes, and so forth. And I think they've done a really, really good job bringing the QX80 into the modern competitive era. There's no sugarcoating it. It was getting a little bit aged, this platform, right? The QX80 compared to Cadillac, where they brought the new Escalade, Navigator, the German ones too. So it was definitely needed. This competes in that segment. So we've got LX 600 from Lexus. We've got the, I've already mentioned the American ones, maybe a BMW X7, the Mercedes GLS 580. So it is definitely a highly competitive and highly expensive option. So how does it stack up? They all have so much technology, creature comforts, the leather, the space, and everything, right? So they all bring a lot to the table. What I think the QX80 brings is the holistic experience across all passengers. And some of the other vehicles, even when you get to the top tier trim, I'm thinking the Escalade, right? You want to be up front. You want to be in the driver's seat or the passenger seat here. Second row, third row is kind of like forgotten about sometimes, right? It feels much more normal and pedestrian when you're in those back seats. The second row in the QX80 for this Autograph trim is pretty impressive. You got the tablet back there to control your climate. There's plenty of space. The quilted leather and everything goes back there. They're massage, heated, cooled, and it's plenty spacious. Even the third row, heated seats in the third row, right? So it's not just like you're relegated to third row like you got in trouble or something. You got to go all the way back there. You still have some luxury and comfort. They talked about how like this is supposed to embody the Japanese idea of like hospitality, luxury. They took inspiration from like private jet interiors, and that is like a big reach, right? Like private jets are tens and millions of dollars and so forth. This is a full-size luxury SUV for the road, but you can feel some of the elements distilled down where they did think about things even for second row and third row passengers. Some things that I think might be a slight downside for the QX80 in terms of competing with the other full-size luxury SUVs in the segment. The driver assistant systems like the Pro Pilot compared to something like GM Super Cruise and the Escalade is not quite as comprehensive. Super Cruise is phenomenal on a mapped road. The amount of roads that are supported, the hands-free lane changes and so forth is definitely impressive. And Pro Pilot doesn't quite match up to that. And then the powertrain options. I do like this Twin Turbo V6, but some of the other SUVs offer a lot more different options. Look at the Escalade. There's even a diesel option available. Lincoln only has one EcoBoost V6 in the Navigator, but then the Germans, there's all these different powertrain options. This is just Twin Turbo V6, no plug-in hybrid, no V8 or anything like that. Some people may want a V8 still because they, even though this is torquier and more powerful and more efficient than the outgoing V8, they're like, I want the V8 in my full-size SUV. But I'm telling you now, this VR35, I have not felt a single bit of missing the V8 while driving it. But overall, this is a properly impressive update. When I first saw it in person in the studio, just stationary, that was earlier this year, I was like, wow, you guys have really brought it up to speed, checked all the boxes, brought all the tech and luxury features, and a lot of competitive segment first, industry first. The biometric cooling, I don't think I've talked about that quite enough. That's a pretty cool little feature, right? They definitely were thinking about second row passengers. You hop in, you're hot and sweaty from going on a hike, or your kids after a soccer practice or something like that, and it quickly cools them down automatically. The built-in cameras and dash cams and the cameras that stretch across the screens here are pretty cool. So they needed to. Infiniti absolutely needed to make this much more competitive, and I think they have absolutely stepped up to the plate with the QX80. Obviously, we're in a top-of-the-line autograph trim here, so it has all the bells and whistles, the fancy sound system, the best material qualities, but going across the other trims, you also still get the adjustable height air suspension, you get all the cargo capacity improvements, the convenience touches, the big screens, and so forth. So, great first impressions with the QX80. Definitely want to spend some more time living with one of these, spend a whole week driving it around town, seeing what it's like, learning all the little innovations and the upsides and downsides of the QX80. But I hope you guys enjoyed this first drive, first impression of the 2025 Infiniti QX80. Comment below, how does this compare to the LX 600 from Lexus, the Cadillac Escalade, the German ones, the X7, the Mercedes GLS? Which one would you want to have with your family? Big full-size luxury SUV? We'll see how it does in the market. Thanks for watching.